I have here a Milwaukee M18 12mAh battery. It's only a few years old, but it is faulty. What happens is that when I push the battery status button, it shows that the battery is undercharged, and then when I put the battery onto a Milwaukee charger, it shows a constant green light, which means that it's fully charged. When I put a multimeter to test each of the 5 battery banks, it shows that there are some cell banks that are low voltage, while other banks have a slightly higher voltage. So that hinders the Milwaukee charger from fully charging the battery. So I bought this ToolKitRC M6DAC balance battery charger in order to balance charge the 5 banks concurrently. One of the things I made is this output power cable from an XT60 socket. This cable comprises a XT60 female connector, 5mm automotive cable 1.2 meters long into Copper-Lugs, which handle 4mm square wire size, so that I can connect the output power to the negative and positive terminals of this battery. In another video, I show how I make a 5S balance cable to go from this charger to the 5S contact points on this battery. Join me in this video as I make this cable now. I have here the main components I need to build the output power cable to connect to the XT60 output socket on my ToolKitRC balance charger. And at the other end, I have this PC4-5. This ring terminal lug will accept a 4mm square wire gauge. It has a 5mm hole, but I will not need that. Solder wire, soldering iron, Baker's soldering fluid to clean the tip, as well as the contacts on the XT60. So let's make a start. To gauge how much of the insulation to strip, which is very little, I put some Baker's soldering fluid here so that I can clean the tip. Put some solder on the wire. Before I solder the female XT60 connector, I will join it to a male connector so that the heat from the soldering action can dissipate to the other contact and so reduce damage to the plastic. Apply only a little bit of solder to the contacts, otherwise the wire will have difficulty sitting inside. Because I do not have helping hands grip available, I will use a vice grip, but only clamp it gently so I do not break the plastic. I will tilt it a little bit so it makes it easier to solder. This is the negative, so the black wire will go here. And before I solder, I'll put in a heat shrink. I think that's it. First solder rigid, not going anywhere. push the heat shrink over it. This is a Metabo H1600 heat gun. That's the negative contact soldered. I've cut a shorter piece of red heat shrink. Hopefully it doesn't shrink from the soldering action. Okay, the positive contact is soldered as well, and do the pull test. It's not going to go anywhere. Put the heat shrink in. Alright, positive contact is also soldered and heat shrink is applied. That's good. Do a pull test. They're both not going to come out. I put a bigger heat shrink sleeve over the two cables. I put a second outer sleeve just to give it a little bit more rigidity. I should have used this rear plastic housing which goes back there, but to be frank I forgot, so I'm just going to put a bit more heat shrink. I think this will be the last heat shrink, and I'd like it to go over the lid, just so that when it shrinks it grips it tighter. I think that will do. Excellent. Just to test circuit continuity at both ends, I'll strip the insulation and use a multimeter to test. They will have to fit into these lugs, so that's the amount of insulation I will strip. I have to be careful I do not cut the wires. This is a FLIR CM82 clamp meter. I've set it on circuit continuity. So for the female XT60 connector, that is a negative side and the flat edge is the positive side. Probe to the positive and the other end of the probe to the positive. It beeps, so there's circuit continuity. Check that there's no short circuit. Yep, no beep. Put the probe into the negative side. Touch the negative of the other end. Beep, circuit continuity. Check there's no short circuit. There's no short circuit. This lug takes a 4mm square cross-sectional wire, whereas this 5mm automotive cable has a cross-sectional area of 2.9mm square, so it is a bit smaller than what's recommended to fit in here. So what I'll do is I'll insert each wire into a bootlace ferrule crimp to increase the outside diameter. First, the red positive cable. And to confirm, I can see the wires inside. This is my LSC8 bootlace ferrule crimper. It crimps from size 0.25 to 10mm square, or for wires AWG23 to AWG10. Here is crimped. The wire is not at the edge because this bootlace is a little bit long, but that's okay. I will trim it to the edge. That much. Fit that in. Nice and tight. I'm gonna cut a bit more insulation away so that I can fit a heat shrink in there. So I'll slip a heat shrink in here. That's done. Insert the copper lug. Goes in there. This is my ToolKit 1950 crimper. I have a crimp die in here. It is LSD number 10 for non-insulated terminals and lugs, ranging in size from 1 to 10 mm square. This lug is for 4 mm square wire, so I will crimp it using that number 4 die. I push the wire into the lug completely and then crimp. There we are. So that's crimp. Not gonna go anywhere. Now for the negative wire, bootlace fell crimper. It's crimped. Cut off the excess length. Get the cable lug. Put the lug through the die and crimp. Here we are. Full test. It's not going to come out. I will insert a black heat shrink for the black wire. That's done. I will test for circuit continuity again. The flat surface is positive and test the positive at the other end. It beeps, so there's circuit continuity. Test that there's no short circuit. Good. Put the probe into the negative at the XT60 Circuit continuity confirmed. Check that there's no short circuit. That's good. Now some of you may be wondering why I attach key tags to my crimping tools like this and this. Well, I have two of these crimp tools with removable crimp dies, and I have a lot of crimp dies to fit. And so as not to pick the wrong die for the wrong job, or worse, mix one half of a die set with another half of another die set. In other words, have mismatched dies, that would be terrible. So I did a video on my YouTube channel explaining why I do this in order to efficiently sort out my collection of crimp dies. As I mentioned at the start of this video, the purpose of this cable is to connect from the XT60 output socket of my balance charger to the positive and negative terminals of my Milwaukee M18 battery pack in order to balance the battery. My next video is to make the 5S balance cable so that they can be connected to the negative and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 contacts to enable balance charging. So this power cable looks like this will work well like that. I'm pleased with this cable. I did not want to make a cable that's too short and then it's fiddly to arrange my equipment devices around. So I think a 1.2 meter length was just good enough. Not too long, not too short. I'm pleased with this project. Do hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more and help the channel grow. Thank you so much.